Who are you? Seeing the masked man standing motionless in front of me, I trembled nonstop. Usually, I can vaguely feel the emotions of others as if I was experiencing them myself. But today, I found that this ability of mine will not always work. Like how it's failing me right now. There's no emotion around this man, he's like a stone statue. If not for the sweat pouring down from the man's chin, and his constantly trembling hands, I would have believed that this man was really a statue. Do you know? He mumbled, but his voice was too meek and it failed to reach my ears. Yes, sir. I asked, cautiously glancing at the man's blank mask. I didn't. Do you know how much suffering, how much sorrow, do you know? Yes, sir. The hairs on my body stood up as I looked at the masked man. He was clutching his head, screaming and yelling constantly without even forming a single coherent sentence. Step. I take a step back and turned away, prepping my legs to run as fast as possible. Shiver. Suddenly, my whole body trembled and cold sweat started oozing out from my skin. My ability left me alone like a snake leaving its eggs, but now that it started working again, it stabbed me in the back like a viper striking at his prey. Such malice, it feels like I'd suffocate from all the hate. Where do you think you're going? Because of my momentary pause, the man noticed my escape attempt and grabbed my shoulders, locking me in place. Yes, sir. I think you got the wrong person. I didn't do anything bad, I'm innocent. I pleaded and tried to even my voice as much as possible, but the tears welling up in my eyes and the sobs clogging my throat made it hard to do so. Hearing my plea, the man scanned my body and stopped. His entire demeanor calmed down, and his aura mellowed as if the person from before was just an act. Am I saved? Ha ha ha. Of course, of course. Thank you, little boy, it seems that I really did get the wrong person, the man said and patted my shoulders. It's okay. You. Suddenly, the man grasped my neck and squeezed it hard. The person I'm looking for is inside of you. How could I be so blind? Glimmer. In the corner of my darkening vision, I saw a brilliant light appear on the man's hand. It took me a few moments to realize that it was a knife. A kunai knife. And no. Don't worry. It'll be quick, the man said and raised his arm, aiming the cold blade at my heart. How heartless, a voice echoed in my mind before the world turned darker than night. If only the stars were visible too, I thought when I heard a muffled chuckle as a response. Boom. Hello. 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 LLO. ARGHH. ARGHH. RGHH. GHH. Damn it, even my groans will echo. I am surrounded by large metal pipes and old concrete walls, and a thin layer of water carpeted the floor, soaking my feet with water but not at the same time. I don't know how, but no matter how much I roll around, the water will not make me wet in the slightest. How long has it been? When I opened my eyes around. I don't know, an hour ago. 30 minutes ago. 10 minutes ago. I'm not sure. But when I opened my eyes, I found myself trapped in this place. At first, the novelty excited me to no end, but after roaming around the labyrinth that was this sewer system for what felt like forever, I realized that I was doomed. It'd be fine if there were fish swimming around to eat. But there aren't even worms. I'm going to starve to death. Splash. When I fell to my knees while holding my head in panic, the water splashed all over me, but as expected, I was drier than a desert. Roar. Hiruzen frowned when he saw the mangled corpse of a root ninja. Damn you, Danzo. Making things overly complicated again, he cursed, but his eyes never left the boy with a feral grin. The sealing teams sure are taking their sweet time, Hiruzen chuckled, but his tone was too dark to be jovial. Around him, dozens of Anbu gulped and gave their silent prayers to the root commander. That guy always touched around the Hokage's nerves, was he not afraid of death? Maybe one day, his maid will find his cold body soaked in crimson red while still lying on the bed. Fire style. Fire wall. Hiruzen weaved a few hand seals in a flash and suddenly, an enormous wall of flames surrounded the rampaging boy. He chose fire over water and earth in order to deter the boy from escaping, as doing so will get him burned. Damn it all. Hiruzen cursed as he jumped. Bang. Roar. From where Hiruzen once stood, the boy appeared with flickering flames around his body and a massive crater below him. I can't believe he ran through that. It seems that the boy isn't in control. Maybe the fox is controlling his body, or maybe its chakra is making him act aggressively. Hiruzen made one wild guess after the other, but neither of them was correct. The fox's chakra was merely enhancing Naruto's emotions, but without his mind present, he couldn't think rationally. Because he was nearly killed, Naruto's last emotion before he passed out was fear, and as the Kyuubi's chakra enhanced his fear, it made him act defensively against the people who were suddenly surrounding him. Grr. Danzo. You better have a good explanation for this, Hiruzen mumbled before putting all his attention on Naruto, throwing other matters into the back of his head. Just as he was about to perform an earth jutsu, Hiruzen sensed a dozen chakra signatures. This chakra. Sealing teams, quickly seal away the fox's chakra. Hiruzen ordered without even turning his head to look at the newcomers. Judging from their chakra signature alone, he knew that they were Fuinjutsu experts. Earth style. Binding earth chains. Suddenly, the clothes I was wearing started burning. Strangely enough, I didn't feel any pain, and because I froze in shock after seeing flames cover my entire body, I didn't embarrass myself by screaming. What happened? Happened. Tisk. This goddamned echo is driving me nuts. Vowing to never speak again, I looked down at my now naked body. Ah. My eyes widened in terror and my body trembled like a lonely leaf facing off a tornado. How could I not? My entire body was burnt in many places as if I just rolled around a field of flaming hot charcoal, and my skin looked as if someone was trying to it off. How am I alive? Blood was gushing out of my body like a broken faucet, and the clear water on my feet turned crimson red. Suddenly, my eyes caught something unfamiliar. What's this? This. On his abdomen was a spiraling symbol that seemed like a tattoo. The tattoo looked as if it was melting and lightly spinning, though I couldn't tell if that was truly the case or if I was just hallucinating. Just as I was about to shrug it off, my mind suddenly chilled, turning cooler than a cold winter night. Fuinjutsu is used in many various ways. It can be used to defend, attack, hide, and more. But the most common use for Fuinjutsu is the technique of sealing things away into another object or living thing. For example, a ball can be sealed inside a piece of paper. If successful, the ball will be stored in the paper, but the paper itself wouldn't change. A symbol will appear on the paper, signifying that the ball is indeed sealed inside it. Likewise, if something is sealed inside a person's body, a symbol will be etched on that person's skin, organ, or even blood. A symbol will be etched on the skin. I mumbled to myself. My mind was as clear as spring water, and each second passed like an hour. The burns around my body is getting worse, and half of my skin was now peeled off, yet I didn't notice any of it, not even as the water around me had fully turned crimson like roses. Stay away from him, he's dangerous. It's that thing. Why is he still here? Is that him? Damn, chase him away, quick. As all the hushed whispers and murmurs of the villagers echoed in my ears like crickets at night, my mind started processing the hunk of information that was dumped on my head like an oiled machine, forming a conclusion that I never wanted. There had never been a day when I wished that I wasn't quick-witted. There had never been one until now. No way. No way. Splash. Splash. I yelled, my voice trembling as I stepped back and nearly fell to my butt. Impossible. He's dead. That fox is dead. The fourth killed him. I deny it, but every word I uttered just made the fact clearer in my head. There was no doubting it. The reason behind the villagers' sudden turn of coat. Why they excluded him from everything. Why they treated him unfairly. He was wrong. They didn't shun him because of his weird, red hair, or even the whiskers on his cheek. They shunned him because he was holding something inside of him. All at once, my heart dropped to the ground, and my body turned cold, yet my mind was more transparent than a mirror. The nine-tailed fox is sealed inside of me. Splash. I knelt. My shoulders were slumped downward as my forehead hit the floor, and my hands were tightly clutching my head. Arghhh. Hiruzen stared excitedly as the ceiling symbols wrapped themselves around Naruto's body. By now, the boy was motionless. Nice. The fox's chakra is almost. Snap. Suddenly the boy's head turned with a sound like a branch snapping in half just to look at the sky. Roaaaaaaaaaaaaaaar. Hiruzen's eyes widened when he saw a massive amount of red chakra bubbling out of Naruto's abdomen and covering his entire body. Behind him, a tail made out of the fox's chakra sprouted like a forbidden plant. No way. How? Hiruzen couldn't believe his eyes, but the continuous howls of the boy made him snap back into reality. Seal the fox's chakra, now. He yelled and weaved hand seals. Summoning jutsu. Monkey King Enma. What a sorrowful cry. Atop the mountain with the faces of the current and previous Hokages etched on its side, a man frowned as he mumbled to himself. He had bandages wrapped around his forehead and right eye, a small X-shaped scar decorated his chin, and his right arm was apparently injured as he wore an arm sling. It seems that my machinations have ended on a perfect note, he muttered and looked at the fire spreading from one building to another in a dense area of the village, the villagers running around like headless chickens, and the Hokage fighting against a young boy barely the age of 4. No, it seems that the results are a little too good. He took one final glance at the chaos and walked away without turning back. With this, the boy should feel what betrayal is like, and his heart will be tainted in pitch-black darkness. As Lord Second Hokage once said, the purest heart gives birth to the darkest darkness, because there is always darkness where there is light, he chuckled to himself. When that time comes, the nine-tailed fox will fall into my hands. But first, I'll have to think of a way to placate an old monkey god who can't even deal with paperwork. For all the knowledge he boasts to have, does he not know to use shadow clones when dealing with such laborious tasks? Then, he remembered the scene he just saw from atop the Hokage mountain. And does he not know that he should first isolate the boy first before dealing with him? The man chuckled as he walked to the nearby forest, and his body was slowly getting covered in darkness. Oh well, all these foolish mistakes will pile up and soon, the man's eyes narrowed into a slit. Soon, I'll take that hat that I always deserved. Foosh. Danzo-sama. In front of the figure that's nearly been swallowed by darkness, a boy with a pale complexion and a smile on his face knelt in reverence. I suppose that the mission is complete. Danzo asked despite knowing the answer. This boy was his favorite new sprout. After all, he always flawlessly did his mission 100% of the time. The library collapsed from lack of maintenance and sadly, the boy's smile turned into a sad frown, and even his brows furrowed to show sorrow. The librarian wasn't able to make it out alive. He was the last of his kin. In other words, he didn't have a family to look after him in the afterlife. Good work, Danzo said, and his body disappeared into the shadows of the tall, ancient trees. After his master left, the pale boy smiled and took out a small book. It was a sketchbook, and at one point in time, he poured all his emotions into this book. Now, it seems as if he had truly poured all of his emotions into the small, light blue sketchbook.